What is up, party people? Trump and the Pooter having a phone call. Wonder what that's like. Do you think they're singing, just the two of us? We could make it if we try.
That'd be something.
You know the Pooter speaks English, too.
Oh, yeah.
The baloney of like, oh, I've got to have my interpreter here. They all speak English.
He's KGB.
Of course he is. Probably speaks 8 different languages.
Yeah.
You said my name?
Yes, he did.
Someone said KGB.
KGB. Said KGB. A lot of stuff to get to today. I don't know. Should we speculate on the phone call or should we just wait for it to accidentally be released, as the phone calls tend to do with Trump?
Yeah.
And I know that the Ukrainians are upset because it does sound a little bit like they're kind of just giving away everything. That's the position you're in. Both of you guys are in really bad positions.
Yeah, I think this most recent battle I saw this morning where apparently, Russia apparently finally kicked Ukraine out of this key city, but both sides lost in excess of 1,000.
Yeah.
On each side.
And you're just thinking to yourself, that is not, that's really not sustainable for the likes of Ukraine.
No.
But even for Russia, at what point do they have their breaking point? So we I always go back to go look and see one of the big turning points in the Afghan war when Russia invaded was the moms of the kids in Russia that had finally had enough. And they were so loud, and they didn't know what to do with them because their kids were all coming home in body bags, and it was not a walk in the park anymore. It was awful. And that's when they realized, I don't think we're going to win this. And so it'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what comes out of it, kind of meeting, what they discussed. What have you been up to? Do you like it there? Is it nice? That Snowden fellow, what do you think of him? And then, they'll figure something out, I'm sure. Now, it's going to take a lot longer because the fact is Putin is Putin. He not giving anything. Trump's not going to give anything. They're both going to be hard-headed, as they should. Trump's going to say, look, dude, you're going to have to give up some of this stuff, right? My guys are over there dealing with it, but you realize you can't withstand this. Your military is not what you think it is. And you know what? Even though we're not going to be involved, we're not going to allow them to be demilitarized with no peacekeepers. That's the most ridiculous thing in the world. So come up with something else. And yes, NATO is, because I heard that Ukraine came out and said, Russia can't tell us that we can't be in NATO. Well, NATO's telling you can't be in NATO.
Yeah, NATO's not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole, man.
Yeah.
They know what's up.
No.
They don't want to go to world war over Ukraine either.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. By the way, it's not worth it for Ukraine to go to world war because you're the first one on their list.
Yeah. Right.
So, but yeah, this thought of, well, NATO is going to be a part of it, that was dangled. Idiots said that. They played footsie with it. It was never going to happen. Now, whether or not they join Europe, that's their own deal. If they were going to do that, they were going to do that. But as far as NATO went, that was just not going to happen. It wasn't. And that was a great excuse. That, and we're going to denazify, et cetera, et cetera. He wanted to go in. He did. He wanted the warm weather port. It became more than that. Let's all move on with our lives because there's too many people dying. Whether you like Trump or not, he's absolutely right about this. Too many people dying. Speaking of that, this is my shocked face. If you guys are on the YouTube, Israel and Hamas are fighting again? What?
I'm surprised it took this long.
Yeah, they'd had enough. Israel had said, hey, we've had enough.
Well, it's like
you're not giving anybody back.
Well, and it's like you said, man. I mean, the hostages, that's all Hamas has.
That's it.
And they're not going to give them up.
We're
going to have to find their leadership, dude.
Well, their leadership's in Qatar.
Qatar,
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Their leadership is there. And, this is when you finally have to look over and you start putting some leaning on the Saudis, Qatar, anybody else, right, over there and saying, look, guys, you're going to have to get involved. Whether that means you take these people, and we're talking about their leaders, and you get them the hell out of here, and they can have their weight in gold, and they get out of there, because otherwise this is going to end up where one country does go from the river to the sea. And it is, they've got nothing else, right? Those hostages. And I don't even know how many of those hostages they still have. That's the other side of it. Because they've been moved 100 times. Some of them have probably been dead for a while. Some of them may have been blasted even by the IDF. So you got nothing else. One thing that Israel has besides the power and the strength is they've got tons of hostages. That's why they can give 200 or 300 over at a time. But that's all they got. And I don't know what that's going to look like in the coming days. They killed 400 yesterday. Is that what I heard late last night? It is ugly. And it's just something that's not going to change. You have to fundamentally change a neighborhood, essentially, in a way that has never been changed in the history of forever, because they've been around for a long time. Everybody in that region's been fighting over something forever. And you're going to have to go in, and that's why the whole thought of, the joke about, Trump's like, we're going to have, golf courses and all that stuff. You're going to have to really rethink the entire place. You're going to have to rethink everything. It's not going to be easy. Trump realizes that one's never going to be easy. It doesn't matter what, and we've learned this from, read Clinton's book, How to Pick Up Chicks, and oh, by the way, Arafat screwed me. That's the name of his book. It's a weird book, but which he said his biggest regret. He thought he had a deal done, 2-state solution. He did, and no matter what he gave Arafat, and he gave them everything. I mean, he had Israel giving back stuff that was, you knew they shouldn't give back. They weren't going to, but we'll do it because we want peace. This is it. We just want peace. And what happened? 12th hour, Arafat came in and said, no deal. No deal. They're not interested in peace, the powers that be, because the powers that be over there, their job, their industry is terrorism and killing Jews. And alas, here we are. So some upheaval globally, no doubt about that. So somebody said, prisoners of wars are not hostages. Well, that everybody's going to have their same saying. I mean, look, the hostages that they took, they're kidnapped. They kidnapped human beings. They raped and pillaged and kidnapped like they were pirates. They went over and they did horrific things. On the other side, if you are a Palestinian, those people that are in prison, you look at them as some of them were guilt by association, just being Palestinian, and others, yeah, they were, Israel doesn't screw around. There's no joke. And can you blame them? Think about where they live. Think about being surrounded by everybody who hates you. We've done that analogy. Imagine living in a house where the neighbor behind you hates your guts. The neighbor to the side of you hates your guts. The neighbor to the left of you hates your guts. The neighbor across the street hates your guts. That's maybe as good as you're going to get. And one of your neighbors always tries to break into your backyard. After a while, you're going to get frustrated. No doubt. A lot of stuff to get to today. I'm interested to find out about the call. I want to see what that's like. And Ken, you did a story about women giving birth to more kids over 40.
Yeah, women over 40 for the first time ever are now having more babies than teenagers in the U.S.
Yeah, this is not sustainable. This is not you cannot build a country on no children.
No.
It doesn't work that way. I mean, if it wasn't for immigration, illegal or otherwise, our numbers would plummet. They would look like Korea and Japan. By the way, Korea and Japan, they're desperate for people to have babies. They're willing. Was it South Korea said, like, if you have 2 kids, you never have to pay taxes again? Some ridiculous thing like that.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, so if you have kids, the mother never has to pay taxes again. Some crazy. They're so desperate. Ireland, like it or not, like the whole thing with Rosie O'Donnell, if your grandmother or grandfather was born there or they have Irish heritage, you're in. They want people so bad because they can't keep a society if the society dies off. You know, eventually, and no matter how many times you open the Pez dispenser, the candy's going to be gone at some point. And that's kind of the way it is. That these nations that are, it's not just us, it's the West in general, and yes, part of the East. And that's one of the things that China is having a huge problem with. India's not, but China is. India's going to have, by the end of this century, they could be more than half of what they are right now. That is a huge thing, but we've got to figure it out here. And older women, they're not having 3, 4 kids. They're having 1. And then they're going to dote on that kid forever. It's going to be one of those kids, you know what I mean? I waited so long so I could become the CEO, and I did it on my own, and your kid's going to be all weird. Young women, yes, but not teenagers. Well, you know, we didn't say teenagers.
Yeah.
Had to have kids.
Well, yeah, we're not saying teenagers have to have kids. It's just the first time that women over 40 have outnumbered the number of teenagers having babies.
And
but it's still declining. Like the birth rate is down 14% since 1990.
That is so insane. And somebody said here, you know, like Down syndrome and stuff like that, it goes up. I will say this. When I coached my little brother's soccer team, so if you guys don't know, my little brother Spencer's in a wheelchair, brain damage, cerebral palsy, trach, G-tube. That's how he eats and breathes. When I coached his soccer team for years, I used to tell my mom all the time, there's no young moms out here. It's all much, and I'm not talking much older women. I was in my 20s and 30s, but they were older than me by 10, 15 years, and their kids, some of them were like 6 and 7. And I thought that's an interesting thing. So it's, but we've got to, you know, I mean, Elon's doing all he can, right? He's trying to fix the government and save us money, and he's probably trying to have every kid he possibly can. It's not a weekend that goes by that he doesn't have a baby.
Yeah, Elon's, he's a little worried about this fertility report.
Yes, I would be too. Having kids is expensive. You know what you find out about having kids? You find a way.
You find out, you realize why we don't live 100 years anymore.
Yeah, because you'd have to have 12 because you figure 8 of them were going to die somewhere, right? There's a good chance your wife's going to die at childbirth. There's a great chance that your kid's going to go outside one day to play chase the stick and then get eaten by something. So you had to have 10 of them. So 5 of them could get to adulthood.
And then they're going to start back talking.
Of course, at 8, because that's when they were adults back then. So a lot of stuff to get to, including I'm doing a piece. It's a really cool piece about this prison in El Salvador. It is crazy. There's a reason that Trump did what he did, and it's a very interesting thing about why these people don't want to go there and what I think is going to happen eventually if it gets to the Supreme Court, which it will, and they say, yay, you can do this. We'll find out. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, not quite Rumble.
Yeah, that's the website. Not quite Rumble.
Not quite Rumble. So a lot of stuff still to get. There was more on this whole thing with the fact that we're not having kids, which is even Elon's talked about. I've talked about it for a long time. It may be the biggest issue we as a nation have that nobody's talking about. You think it's climate change. It's the fact that we have no kids to change is a big issue. It's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Prize Picks, you want to win? You can up to 1,000 times your money with Prize Picks. I mean, and I'm talking about a chance to win, right? Now, this is fantasy, daily fantasy. It's not, you're not picking a team, right? You're not picking X team versus Y team, and I think the point spread's this. It's picking your favorite players. You know, Steph Curry going to get more than 5.5 3-pointers. Will, Luka Doncic get more than 10 rebounds? That's it. It's over. It's under. It's simple. They've got daily specials like Taco Tuesday tonight. Great ways for you to earn tons of promo points. And right now, when you go to Prize Picks and you download the app today, use my code Chad, You play your first $5 lineup. So I just kind of gave you a lineup. You pick something like that. If you do that and you play that $5 lineup, $50 bonus instantly, win or lose, right into your account. It is simple. It is fun. My wife and I do it all the time. Check it out. Go to Prize Picks. Download the app today. Get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be 21 and present in Tennessee. Gambling problem? Call 800-889-9789.
President Trump's phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin is over. We'll see if there's some details we can tell you from that. Chief Justice John Roberts rebuking President Trump. These stories and more coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The world of politics. What do you think happens in the world of politics? Right? Like, so that guy, Mahmoud Khalil, he's in Louisiana. What do you think's there? A judge that is sympathetic for the Republicans. That's what everybody does. Whether it's at the local tiny level with something you'll never deal with. There's a reason that people file cases in certain places. For years, American stars would file cases against the big publishers in England, because it was easier to win a case, a libel or slander case over there than it was here. You go to a place where you think you're going to get something. This was always about, you know what? I'm going to throw it against the wall. We'll see what sticks. Okay? If it doesn't stick right now, it's going to go to the Supreme Court. And that's ultimately where so many of these things, whether it's Doge or a lot of this other stuff, it's ultimately going to end up there. And it doesn't mean it's a rubber stamp for Trump, and it doesn't mean it's not. We've touched on this a few times. There's been more than a few occasions where everybody thinks, oh, it's going to be 8-0 the liberals or the conservatives, and you find out it was 7-2 conservatives or liberals, and some of the liberals voted this way and some of the conservatives voted that way, because it's all about interpretation. And this is going to get in front of the Supreme Court at some point in time, which is what Trump wants. And I think it's a good thing. The sooner, the better. We're going to talk about that. Some of you chiming in about not having kids. It's the ultimate way to not have any responsibility. And look, there's a lot of people out there. You guys know this. You've got sons or daughters where you're like, I got a couple kids. One of them should definitely have a kid, and the other one shouldn't get anywhere. They should maybe be an uncle or aunt at best, right? Like, that's it. That's fine. Like, my family, my little sister, or she's my niece, but she's my sister. My mom's adopted her. She's got 2 kids. Love them. Love them. Love them to death. They're amazing. She's an incredible mother. My other sister, I never thought she'd have kids. I think she's going to have a kid. The rest of my family, because a couple of them are special needs, probably not. And that's a good thing. Right? That's a good thing. I never thought I'd have kids. Man, I was 40. I was like, I'm not going to have kids. I'm never going to have kids. I'm going to travel around, do my stuff, voiceovers, comedy, woo, having a good time. One got by the goalie. Life changed. And you know what? I wish I'd have had my son 10 years earlier.
One got by the goalie. That's good.
One got by the goalie. Because even in love, you can't stop Chad.
I mean, was it like the knuckle puck from Mighty Ducks, or was it just a screamer like Beckham?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was a Roberto Carlos free kick. 45 yards out, swerving and whirving. I mean, yeah, it's going to happen. And it was the greatest thing's ever happened to me. I love my son. I'm so excited. He's coming out here 2 weeks. He's not been out here since we moved out here. He's so excited to come out here. My stepdaughter is amazing. And again, I also help, with my little sister. Her and I are very close. She's 28, and her and I are very close because I was around. My sister wasn't. She disappeared. And it was her and I and my grandmother and mother, basically an aunt just raising her. And so it's always very close. And I love kids, but I'm like, my sister's going to have enough for everybody. And my mom used to say, well, if you don't have one, we'll give you one. But Jack's amazing. And then I had Charlie. And my wife's awesome. And Charlie is awesome. She is like, my son he's got a bit of me, for sure. And he's got a bit of his mom. My daughter is my said, we get a ginger because I'm a ginger. I'm like, you better hope for something else because we're piss and vinegar. We're there's a reason they call us soulless. And my daughter, she is 6. She will look you right in the eye and say, "You want to go? Because I will go now." And I'm like, okay, but it's important and it does bring you responsibility, man. You know that, Ken.
Yeah, I had my daughter when I was 30, I want to say 32, and that's whenever everything changed.
And you realize you're taking care of a human being. You have a responsibility because this person here has no responsibility. It poops its pants. And when you get really, really old, you'll also be back in that situation where you'll have no responsibility and also poop your pants.
It's also whenever I first started taking naps.
Yes.
Because I was exhausted.
All the time. But it's the greatest thing in the world.
I'd do it all over again. And I mean, I complain, but there are 3 people I'll truly give my life for.
Oh.
And it's my family.
100%. Like you've never, and you know this if you're listening and you've got kids, it is the greatest thing in the world, no matter how much of a pain. Like my sister's a mess. She's on drugs. She's got her life cleaned up a little bit, but my family will never have her around again because all the things that she did to the kids, what a mess she is. She's still my sister. We touch bases every once in a while on Facebook. I still like to know what she's up to and if she's okay because she's still my sister. It's family. Mm-hmm. But nothing changes like when you have your own. Like the whole I jump in front of a bullet. Yes, because there are people out there you're like, I might push you in front of a train. But I won't jump in front of one. Right. But when it comes to your family, you will. You will fight a monster from hell for your family. And some people out there, though, kids. I know you guys live in a different world, right? The ladies, you're all super liberal. You're going to have to give that up. Those low soy tea boys aren't working. They're no fun. They're whipped. They're just a bunch of, right, KGB? I mean, that's the way that you feel.
Yeah.
See, he said it
like you said. If I even for my mother, I will fight to the death for my mother. Yeah. I would do the same for my future wife.
And we're trying, future wife. We're trying hard to get him a girlfriend. So hard. You know how hard it is?
You haven't done a thing.
We have.
You insulted the last person I went on a date with.
Well, no, we didn't. We just, you did bring up your FICO score, which is a little odd, but whatever. Well, we're all loving you on that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
720, by the way. That's what he told us yesterday. Coming up, a lot of stuff still to get to. We're going to talk a bit about this prison, this CCOT prison. What is it? What's it all about? Why are people terrified of it? We will discuss that, among other things. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers got a crash blocking the right shoulder 24 westbound before Briley Parkway. Then in Murray County, still got that construction work that's impacting 65 southbound at Saturn Parkway. And the full forecast, we've got that in 5 minutes. President Trump's phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin is over, lasting almost 3 hours. Trump working to bring an end to the war in Ukraine. Here's James Longman in Kyiv.
As far as objectives go, the United States clearly will want the Kremlin to agree to this ceasefire. As far as Russia goes, well, it could be argued that they've already got at least one of their objectives, which is to be taken seriously, to be accepted into the international fold, to have relations with the United States normalized.
All the White House is saying right now is that Trump and Putin talked about the need for peace. Germany is moving closer to increasing its spending on national defense after President Trump has signaled uncertain commitment to NATO and Europe's defense. So under this new German proposal, which has been advanced for a final vote, Germany will increase defense spending to $500 billion. That final vote is Friday. Chief Justice John Roberts pushing back at President Trump's suggestion that federal Judge James Boasberg be impeached for blocking deportation flights.
In an extraordinary move for the Chief Justice of the United States, John Roberts has issued a 2-sentence public statement pushing back against the president, who earlier called for the Chief Judge of the Federal District Court here to be impeached. Roberts responded, "For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to a disagreement concerning a judicial decision." Roberts says that's what the normal appellate review process is for.
Here in Middle Tennessee, Murfreesboro police want you to ignore something you may see online today. Someone posted a fake news report on social media this morning saying there's an active gunman on Broad Street near MTSU with a SWAT team present. Murfreesboro police says that's not accurate. They're asking that you not share that post. Channel 4 reports the real story. They say as a search warrant was served at a nearby home, a man and a woman are in custody, and there's no threat to the community. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Retirement Ready Toolkit from our friends over at Beacon Capital Management. It's all happening out there. A lot of people are nervous. A lot of people are uncomfortable with what's going on. Up, down, sideways. Are you, especially if you're in that area where you're thinking about retirement, maybe in retirement, and you're not quite sure what's going to happen, you want to make sure you have enough. And Beacon's going to help you get there. First of all, they're local, which is fantastic. Give them a call, 615-488-9303. And what they're going to do is they're going to send you out a retirement-ready toolkit. It's just for you. It doesn't cost you anything. Zero obligation. No pressure whatsoever. You're going to get a Money Enough for Life book. Simple. A retirement planning checklist and a maximizing your retirement income white paper. Again, no cost. In a time like this, potential inflation, uncertainty in the marketplace, the last thing you want to do is unretire. Let Beacon help you stay retired. Call them today and get that free Retirement Ready Toolkit from Beacon, 615-488-9303, 615-488-9303. Or check them out online at askbeaconnow.com. I like this song. Well, it feels a little Blink 182-y.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
It's one of those music beds made from a band called Blink 842.
No, it's Blink 281.
That's right. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. We have an issue with what goes on when it comes to immigration. And go check out my YouTube at night. I do a show at night, usually right around 7 o'clock our time. I go live, do about a half an hour. Because a lot of stuff happens between now and then. And, you know, sometimes say some other things on the radio, if you will. I mean, you can't say it on the radio. But Democrats, this is all your fault. You know, you don't like the fact that they're flying people places. This is your fault. You allowed 8 to 12 million, depending on who you talk to, people to come across the border. Realistically, probably 10 to 12. At least 2 million gotaways. Plus. I want you to soak that up for a second. 2 million gotaways, 8+ million people came to the border and got in. And for years, you lied to us and you told us we were liars. You said everything was fine. Mayorkas, everything's okay. The border is secure. And that was a lie. Then people got sick and tired of it. They said, yeah, we had enough of it. We've had enough. Even Democrats in big cities that are normally blue saying, well, hold on a second. What the hell's going on here? They're getting our services. They're taking over our schools. They're taking over our rec centers. We can't have this. No. And the pushback came. And that came from Democrats as much as it did from Republicans. Because Republicans crying about immigration forever and a day was always something they could lean on, right? Everybody has their thing that they lean on. We need to raise some money. Let's lean into this. We need to do that. Let's lean into that. So it wasn't like this was anything new, but this was unprecedented. So when you see that happen, know that when that happens, you're going to get the opposite effect. And the opposite effect was Donald Trump. And he ain't playing. New sheriff in town. This was a test. Let's throw it against the wall. Let's see what sticks. They threw it against the wall. This judge has issues with it. This was always going to get to the Supreme Court. And they're all going to scream the same thing over and over. It's a constitutional crisis.
A showdown between the White House and the Judiciary, co-equal branches of government that has yet again raised concerns about the possibility of a constitutional crisis. Now, that's a phrase that has been used a lot lately, overused perhaps. But if one branch of government, say the president, ignores the legitimate authority of another branch, the Judiciary, then that could end up provoking such a crisis. At issue right now is one judge's order and if and when and how the Trump administration potentially defied it.
That's the big if, the how, the why. Around the White House, could they have potentially brought it back? Could they not? Did they? You're never going to say that, right? You're not going to say that. Well, I defied the orders. See, Biden defied a lot of orders, but he never defied the judge. He would say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You know, Bush and Obama tried to go around judges. Everybody has their little thing. But this was as much about, hey, let's see what happens, okay? And we're going to go to the top. We'll see what happens at that point. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you what none of these people want that are here, that are part of gangs, that may even have been a part of a gang, but not anymore and do not want that guilt by association. The fear of ending up at CCOT. And if you don't know what it is, this was one of the first camera crews to ever get into CCOT and to take a view. Now, this is coming from an Aussie, right? Which I always find interesting when you go from whether it's, you know, Australia, New Zealand, or Europe, because their prisons in a lot of these places are nowhere near what some of these other prisons are. Ours being in particular. There is a reason that the likes of Pablo Escobar killed the way that he did, besides the fear, but strategically killing anybody who was fine with making sure that they could extradite drug dealers and criminals like him to the United States because of the max prison. Because these guys could control everything over there. He had a zoo. He had a discotheque. That was his prison. He had all the stuff. He had women. But even in some of these other places, when I watch some of these shows like Locked Up Abroad, they've got all kinds of stuff. They've got women in there. They've got their family can come visit on the weekend. It's totally different. This is not that place. This is the place that you're terrified to go. This is the place where they lock you up and throw away the key.
We're about to see inside this fortress. But first, there are multiple checkpoints. And the entire area has state-of-the-art mobile phone blocking technology. The sheer scale and hopelessness of this place is staggering.
Yeah, hopelessness. That's a big word. But a lot of these people are already living in a hopeless world. You're 15, you're 12, whatever it is. You're growing up in El Salvador 10 years ago, and your entire neighborhood is overrun by gangsters. Your choice is kill or be killed, join or die in some cases. So some of these guys do. But some of them also look at it as easy money, a way out. You get to be a big hitter. It's all the stuff. Well, they don't want that now. That's a different world.
Your country has gone from having the highest murder rate per day in the world to now having the highest incarceration rate.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not sure which title is better.
But if you have imprisoned the right guys, it's a good result. Minimum is 20 years, and maximum is 45 years. If you were a leader, you receive 15 years in addition.
On top of that?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're a leader, if you're a shot caller in these prisons, before you get there, they can recognize that. You get an extra 15 just because. They look at you and go, 15 on top of that. And the minimum, you're walking in there 20 years. And 20 years in what they're living in, that is a time, that is an eternity. A year is an eternity in this place.
We are living in democracy. Why? Because we are listening our citizens, not Human Rights Watch, no, they are not Salvadorian.
So tough laws for tough crimes.
That's right.
Well, Minister, no one could accuse you of being too soft.
He laughs the whole time. No. He has zero sympathy. But when you think, okay, so they averaged about 6,900 murders a year. They're down to like 114 per 100,000. So that was 6,900. So I'm talking about per 100,000 people. That's the kind of insanity that they were dealing with. We can't even wrap our heads around that. When you watch those shows from MS-13, back in the day and in El Salvador, and they're just driving around on a Friday night, they've just got guys in trucks just picking up dead bodies on the streets. Like, that's the chaos. And then they said we'd had enough. And it started even before the president they have now. But this is their masterpiece.
There's no sheets, no mattresses. They sleep on cold steel frames. And they eat the same meal every single day. Utensils are banned, so they use their hands. There's just 2 open toilets in each of these massive cells. And the lights stay on 24/7. But how many here might be innocent? Simply guilty of just being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
It's possible. Now, this was a few years ago. This is when it was really starting to take place. And it holds 40,000. I think there's about 15,000 there now. I would say 95% of them are inked to the bone. And when I mean inked, and the ink that they have, the thing about MS-13 and 18 Street Barrio is that is part of the deal, is to be in that position, you're going to be inked up. The other thing is to be in MS-13, you have to kill. It's not the jumping in kind of gang things we see. Killing is their essentially fee to get in.
In the eyes of the government, these men are beyond help. And despite an outcry from human rights organizations around the world, nothing is about to change anytime soon. And any form of rehabilitation, well, that's well and truly off the table.
We don't believe in rehabilitation for them. They are a serial killer, and until now, the science can discover some treatment to reset this type of mind. So until the science can be discovered something, we don't think or we don't apply any type of rehabilitation.
No rehab. You were there. So they're metal benches that you sleep on. No blankets, no utensils. You eat with your hands, lights on 24/7, toilets, 2 of them in the middle of the giant room. And when you're outside of there's like no working out, there's none of that stuff. When you're outside, you walk with your head straight down like you're an old person. This is no joke. They're there not to try to make them better people. They're there to say, you are so bad, you can no longer be in society.
Well, that's next level. I mean, the conditions in there are like something you've never seen. The infrastructure's great, it's all shiny and new, but those cells, the number of people in it, I mean, depending on which side of the argument you fall on, it's either the ultimate deterrent or it's an abuse of human rights. I mean, if that doesn't stop you from being a gang member, nothing will.
Truth. There's a reason that you're going to see these people that are here, that are part of Trende, that are part of Barrio, that are not from here. Because there are gang members here from 18th Street and from MS-13 who are born and raised here. They're not going to disappear. It's like, oh, they just disappeared. That's not going to happen. They're U.S. citizens. But the ones who've come here illegally, and a lot of ones who may be loosely affiliated, or my cousin's in there and I'm staying at his house, if the Supreme Court says, yeah, you watch how fast self-deportations go. They're going to pick up fast. That is about punishment, not rehab. Major League Baseball started today. They tried something over spring training. I found it interesting. We'll talk a little bit about that, a bunch of other stuff to get to. If you're missing the show, we've got a podcast. Grab it. We appreciate it when you do. Jeff looks really sad in there right now. I hope he's okay. You all right there?
Just tired.
Just tired. He's been up for a few hours. It's so busy. He's a busy boy. He's got a 720 FICO score. Just letting you guys know that. Ladies, it's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Ruff Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. I got a nice text message here a little while ago. Chad, Ruff Greens on point. Hit a 30-day mark yesterday because they're doing a 90-day challenge. My boy's doing great. Skeptical at first, but we've seen improvement in his skin, a lot less shedding. His happiness is off the charts. Thank you so much. I'll update you at the 60-day mark. It is awesome what this stuff does. It's natural. It's great. It's living food. Dog food's dead food. This 90-day challenge, you watch what happens with your dog. When you're consistent with it, it is incredible. All you do is 1 scoop a day right on top of your dog's food, and voila, your dog's food comes to life. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all of this incredible stuff packed into this amazing supplement. Now, when you go and use my code, right, you go to ruffgreens.com, use code Chad, they're going to get you out a $20 jumpstart value, absolutely free. All they ask you to do is cover the cost of shipping. Take the 90-day challenge. You won't be disappointed. ruffgreens.com, use code Chad, ruffgreens.com, code Chad.
Vladimir Putin's not going to stop killing Ukrainians yet. We'll tell you about it at 1 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
No, that's a little bit, it's kind of a kick you right in the grundle in there.
That's straight and to the point.
That was. That's it, man. That's the way news should be. Life sucks. Deal with it. Next. Breaking news. Earlier today, in the wee hours of the morning, over in Japan.
Ohtani's at bats. Scorched to the right side, and it's Ohtani that's provided the first hit for the Dodgers.
By the way, if you've never seen Ohtani play, he is arguably the greatest baseball player ever. He's in those kind of.
I mean, he sold out in Japan. Like, they sold out down there.
Well, they sell out everywhere.
Well, no, specifically for him, though.
Yeah.
They don't care about the Dodgers down there. They care about Ohtani.
No. Ohtani. What do they pay him?
It's ridiculous.
$790 million over 10 years.
It's $700 million contract.
Yeah.
But he gets $690 of it in deferred payments.
Well,
after
he might need some of
done.
it now because his interpreter took it all and spent it.
He's getting $2 million a year for 10 years as he's an active player. But when he's done, he gets like $68 million a year for the rest of his life.
Yeah, the Bobby Bonilla plan.
But this is on steroids.
Yeah, this is on steroids. But the interesting thing about this is he is at this point in time, I don't even know if it's close.
Barry Bonds is up there, though.
Barry Bonds is a hitter, but Barry Bonds didn't win a Cy Young.
This is true.
Barry Bonds wasn't also the best pitcher, and Barry Bonds' hat size went from a medium to a XXX, and instead of saying, hi, I'm Barry Bonds, he just neighed at you because something happened to him when he turned 30. We could talk about that another time. What do you think of the AI strike zone? Because they tried it out.
It's okay. There should be a human error element to the game.
I agree, except for this 51% of the calls were overturned.
Yeah.
That is not good. I accept the human error, right? Like, I'm good, like that's part of it.
But if you can challenge every pitch,
well, you can't. That's
going to slow down the game.
Yeah, you can't challenge. That's the problem with like VAR in soccer is they'll score a goal, they'll celebrate, everybody turns around, they announce there's a VAR check. Sometimes it's half a minute, sometimes it's 7, and it goes on too long, and then you re-celebrate again, or you get sad. But if you're missing 51% of your pitches as an umpire, as far as the call,
fired.
That is not good.
But there's a union. That's why, what's his name, was around for so long.
Angel Hernandez.
Angel Hernandez.
The worst umpire ever.
When everyone in the league hates you,
yeah,
like legitimately, it's not like, oh, it's a running gag. No, they legitimately, like, every time he's playing, people have gone on record saying, we all groan.
He would, balls would bounce 2 feet in front of the plate. He's like, strike!
When he sued the MLB for discrimination, the court said, yeah, you were too bad to be the umpire in the World Series. The court said that. A judge.
He was awful. So, AI, it's not here yet, but as early as next year, AI umpiring, at least you're able to challenge a call. It takes a second or two. But how many challenges? That'll be interesting. Coming up, Jamie Paul's going to join us. She's a singer. It's interesting. We're going to find out. What's it like? What's she all about? It's going to be interesting. We need to change it up every once in a while. Have a smile on her face. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got some construction work, Murray County. It's slowing drivers down. 65 southbound just past Saturn Parkway. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And after a 2.5-hour phone call today, a White House readout between President Trump and President Putin shows the Russian leader supports Trump's idea for a mutual pause on energy infrastructure attacks. But that's about it. White House says both leaders agreed this conflict needs to end with a lasting peace. They stressed the need for improved bilateral relations between the U.S. and Russia. The White House says the leaders agreed the movement to peace will begin with an energy and infrastructure ceasefire as well as technical negotiations on implementation of a maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea, full ceasefire, and permanent peace. Those negotiations are to start immediately in the Middle East. And the White House says Trump and Putin also spoke about the Middle East more broadly, including Iran. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts pushing back against calls from President Trump and some House Republicans to impeach that judge for blocking deportation flights over the weekend. Justice Roberts issuing a rare statement today. It says, for more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. As for answers, which federal judge James Boasberg is demanding from the Trump administration over these deportation flights, here's Stephen Portnoy.
In a written response to Judge James Boasberg, the Justice Department says the administration should not be required to answer his questions, such as how many more alleged gang members might be subject to removal under the Alien Enemies Act. The government calls that sensitive information, bearing on national security and foreign relations. The government's filing says if the judge does order the Justice Department to provide the information, he should only receive it privately in his chambers.
A new government report shows more older women becoming first-time moms in the U.S. as the fertility rate continues to decline. The National Center for Health Statistics says for the first time in 2023, there were more births among women 40 and older than there were to teenage girls. Overall, the rate has declined 14% since 1990, driven largely by younger women under the age of 30 who are having fewer children. And later today, 2 American astronauts expect to feel solid ground beneath their feet for the first time in 286 days. Jim Ryan says the unexpectedly long space mission is finally reaching its conclusion.
Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore have spent more time in space than just about anyone, mainly because the spacecraft that took them to the International Space Station had technical issues and had to leave the ISS without them. This morning, Williams and Wilmore climbed into a new craft and undocked, and now, according to NASA Audio,
Crew 9 is currently in their sleep period at the moment, getting some rest and looking towards an upcoming splashdown off the coast of Florida later this afternoon.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Jamie, this probably isn't, you a big fan of the AC/DC?
No.
No?
But I can imagine your voice sounding like this, though.
How can you not be a fan of the AC/DC? I mean, you ever watch those reaction videos where people, like, they have singers that are like real, like, sing coaching, and they'll see them sing Thunderstruck in front of 200,000 people.
Getting upset at our guests is not a good start to this.
Listen, shut up. She said she could fix you up. Jamie Paul's in studio. She's a singer, jazz singer. She rocks and rolls and jazzes. She jazzercises like nobody's business.
Oh, yes. And I like to set people up.
You do. So she said, that 720 FICO score, you're in
All
like
right,
Flint.
that is the last time you're going to say that.
720 FICO score. 6 marriages, not in counting her own, that she's hooked up people with.
Well, my husband Leaf tried to break up with me 3 times, but I wouldn't let him.
There you go. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with Jeff and his girlfriends, except they call that stalking. So
What are you doing to me?
Nothing. I love you, man. You know that.
None of that is true, by the way, for the people listening.
No, that's true. That guy's the nicest guy in the world there. You guys would be foolish not to date him. I'm kidding. Let's talk about, so you're a jazz singer. It's funny because all of a sudden people are texting, oh my God, I love her. At Christchurch, she sings and I love her. Her voice is amazing. Yeah. And I thought, you know what? Politics is not going anywhere. I talk politics all the time. I'll do something different. And the reason we have her in is because you sing the Busy Bee jingle.
I do. It's the most random of random stories as to why I'm here, but it's a total God story. And yes, I did sing at Christchurch. I was in the choir for 20 years there. And now we go to World Outreach Church in Murfreesboro.
Do you sing there?
I do. I'm on the
Is it
worship
weird
team.
singing with like a bunch of just silly people? You amateurs.
No.
I do this for a living, amateurs.
No, because that's just it. A lot of the people on that worship team are not amateurs. One of the guitar players was Charlie Daniels' music director for 20 years.
Okay.
So there's a lot of not amateur.
But there's also the people, oh my God, you're just like so much cooler than me, Jamie. I can't even believe that. Singing next to you. Do you have to wear a robe?
No.
Thank God, that's awful.
No, we wear casual, business casual, dressy casual.
So a lot of people are like, I saw her here because you play around town every once in a while.
We do every once in a while, but more than around town, we go to performing arts centers around the country. We go to symphonies. We have a James Bond tribute show that we're doing in Georgia, April 11th and 12th. If you're in the Georgia listening
So what's
area.
that? What's this? Give us some, like, what is a James Bond? Like, is it a symphony playing and you're doing the James Bond,
It can be, yes. So we do have tracks that we take with us, but we have a full band. We have piano, bass, drums, and guitar. So
and
I was going to say, so my husband plays the trumpet.
The trumpet guy's
right?
here.
I know, I always forget introducing
This
him.
is why he broke up with you.
Right, exactly, 3 times. But yeah.
So you go out
She doesn't
and
hold that
sing
against him.
you're going to sing the
theme songs.
That's
and
cool.
we primarily focus on the first 50 years of the James Bond theme songs. Because, after 2012, 2013, the theme songs kind of, in my opinion, just were like, but the album came out in 2013. So we did
little less jazzy.
a little less jazzy.
What do you think of modern music? Because you toured with Kelly Clarkson, right?
I did.
She's a bit modern.
She's wonderful.
Is she?
Yes. And Leaf actually toured with her from 2009 on and off until like the present. I think the last thing you guys did was the NFL Honors Show last year, something like that. So anyway, she is wonderful. She is exactly who you see on TV and on stage is exactly who she is.
Really?
In person, yeah. She's
Okay.
great. She's really, really great. I learned a lot of things that I should know being an employer of musicians from her. And how to treat
So
my
she
band.
wasn't a nut. Because you hear, obviously you hear about, because everyone, you guys look at, Leif's over here shaking his head, because you guys have worked with nuts, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
we got to hear those stories.
Well,
Come on, nobody cares, right? This is what it's all about. Unleash it.
well, I will say that if Winona is listening, she probably wouldn't appreciate me saying this, but, she has her stories, and there were a lot of them. So,
Well, she had some issues.
I
Let's be
sang
real.
for her for about 2.5 years. I got fired twice, actually. The first time I didn't know I was fired. So that was interesting. That was fun. But then they called me back and said, can you come back and sing? And I said, yeah. And at that moment, they had called me on January 27th of 2009, and that was the day that my first album on Green Hill Music was being released. So they said, well, we know you're an artist now, so your shows can come before ours. We can get a sub for you, but will you come sing? Winona wants you back. And I said, yeah, sure. So then that started a 2-year journey with her. And then I think my last show was in 2010 with her. And I got off the bus and met Leaf in Phoenix, Arizona, because that's where the Christmas tour had ended. We were doing the final encore tour with the Judds. And I met Leaf in Phoenix, Arizona, and we flew to San Francisco so that we could catch a flight to go to Japan with my band to do 5 or 6 sold-out Christmas shows in the Cotton Club in Tokyo.
That's awesome.
So that was very interesting. But then after that, I got a call on January 26th of 2011 that said, well, we're making a change in the background vocal section, so we don't need you anymore. And I said, oh, okay.
Yeah, no big deal. I'm moving on.
No big deal.
Talking to Jane Paul, she's a jazz singer. Her husband's in here. Leif, he plays trumpet, writes music, does a lot of stuff. And it's interesting because when I hear that, I think to myself, like the background singing is like, what's it like? Because what was that documentary came out a few years ago, like 10 Feet from Stardom, where it had all of these mega, like Luther Vandross and all these people who, by all accounts, were incredible, but they were behind. Did you ever feel that way? Because I know some people, I think, feel comfortable. Luther felt very comfortable. He was not comfortable being in the front. Sure. I think a lot of it had to do with his size. Sure. But you wanted to break out and do more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I always felt like that. And I looked at it as a learning ground of what to do, how to do it. I mean, I've been performing, on my own since 2004. We started out at a restaurant out by the airport just on weekends, and we made up all these arrangements. And, so I've been performing as a professional vocalist since 2004, and then we signed with our agency in 2011. And we've switched agencies. We have a really great agent now. But anyway, throughout that professional background vocal journey, I did think, okay, I need to glean from this how to present myself on stage to the bigger audiences. And I found it really fun, but I did really want to be out front. And when I was on the road with Winona, they would have me test her mic because she had, she could just blow out a mic, just burn it up, right? So they had me go out front and test her mic because I had big vocal cords as well.
All of the chaos aside with her, tons of talent though.
Oh, extraordinary, just amazing. I did, when I first moved to Nashville, all the crazy stuff aside, when I first moved to Nashville, her face was on that big MCA advertisement poster, that's on when you split Broadway. So she was there and she had her, cover was like that. And I said, I want to sing for her. And so it took 12 years for me to get to that point. But she called me up on my cell phone, and it had been a year prior story of getting an initial ask from Larry, her stepdad. And she called me up and it said unknown number, and I let the phone go because I had just gotten home from something and I was taking a nap, and I said, I'm not going to answer that. So I have a 4.5-minute voicemail that says, hello, blessed child of God. This is Winona Judd.
Nice.
And I was like, hello?
That is so cool.
So then she asked me personally, can you come and sing background vocals for me? And I have a friend's wedding coming up this weekend that I don't usually do, but I need you, and I need you to pick 2 other people that you want to sing with you and come meet me and we'll rehearse and we'll go sing for my best friend's wedding. I said, okay. So that
Were there a bunch of country stars there?
No, it was very, very small.
Oh, that's
very
good.
small.
Which makes it a little weirder even too, because everybody's going to see me after this, right?
Yeah.
When you're in front of 30,000 people, none of you people are going to see me after this. I'm going to go backstage,
right,
done and dusted. But it's different. So I always find this stuff, like the behind the scenes stuff, find it so interesting. Like, you were talking, you're going to go with, you're going to go do a Christmas album or song here in a couple weeks.
Yeah. So 2 things. April 25th is a very, very big day in my life because I have a Gershwin tribute record that's releasing on April the 25th. But the same day, I will be in the studio with country legend Larry Gatlin, and we're going to record a duet for my next Christmas single, and that duet's going to be Baby It's Cold Outside.
Well, you're not allowed to do that anymore. This is the whole thing. It's politically incorrect. People say, oh, you can't say that because then it makes it seem like it could it be date rape kind of thing. And then he's trying to coerce her and then all that stuff. The wackiness that happened back then. I said when I was talking about this song to my agent, I said, why don't we switch the roles?
why don't I try and entice?
Get you drunk.
Right? No, me'd be the one to say, baby, it's cold outside. Tell Larry that he can't go.
The guys are like, we don't care.
Yeah.
It's cold outside. I got a jacket. What more do you want?
Right, exactly. So they said, no. Let's just
Now,
keep
do
it.
you get the place like
walks out
all
the
Christmassy up?
The studio?
Yeah.
We might. I haven't thought about that yet.
Well, now I give it to you, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Might put a little twinkle in the studio.
That is so cool. So talking to Jamie Paul, she's a jazz singer, and we were watching some of your stuff earlier. We're like, whoa, that's talent, because we're like, she's saying the Busy Bee jingle. I'm like, but the reality is, I had seen a bunch of your stuff before, but then I went and saw like when you were in Japan, and it was, how was that? Because I've had a couple friends, they had a band. Yeah. They were massive in Japan.
Yeah.
They couldn't get arrested here.
Right.
But over there, they're like, man, we can't get off the plane and people go crazy for us.
The Japanese audience is absolutely amazing, just amazing. And I love their culture so much that, I've often joked with Leaf, and not really joking, but, said, okay, if the world goes crazy and we have to move to somewhere, let's move to Japan, because they just respect the snot out of each other. They have such a servant's heart towards each other. And you can walk down the street at 11 o'clock at night, and an 80-year-old shopkeeper will be closing up her doors and walking down the street by herself.
Yeah.
Not a care in the world. But that audience, they love American music.
They do.
It's just so, it's amazing how much they love American music.
Well, Cheap Trick, right? Like she doesn't like rock and roll kind of music, but Cheap Trick live at the Budokan was huge. It was like their biggest album ever.
I like rock and roll. I just don't do AC/DC.
Well,
You're still holding on to that?
she should. AC/DC is amazing.
It's okay, Chad.
It's not okay. It's like the greatest thing ever. AC/DC is incredible. I had a lady come up to me. Ken, where were we a couple weeks ago? We were at
Nashville Palace.
Nashville Palace. Some lady comes up to us. Very nice lady. She goes, "Who's that you play at the open air show?" I said, "It's AC/DC, Thunderstruck."
So that's why you yelled at that lady.
She goes, they're interesting. And I'm like, okay. Look, you at least know who they are.
Yeah, I forgot. You caused a scene, too.
I have caused many a scene,
you
Jeff.
threw a bottle. It got out of hand.
It has happened before. That's because I live the rock and roll lifestyle. I don't even drink. Talking to Jamie Paul here. So you're getting ready to do your Christmas album, are you doing originals, or are you going to just?
No, so we do covers as far as the label is concerned. It's a great label. It's a niche label, if you will. They're distributed by Universal and Virgin, and we just primarily focus on doing covers, maybe a little differently. Kind of how Michael Bublé and Diana Krall did.
Can you do a cover with Burl Ives together? I love Burl Ives.
Is that what is that? Is that Greensleeves? No. I don't know.
Burl Ives?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, have a holly jolly Christmas. Have a holly jolly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That'd be fantastic.
See, I'm going to call Burl. He's dead, but we'll see if we can get a hold of him in the break. Coming up, we got a lot more to get to. We're going to ask her some questions, and then we're going to have her sing how awesome our show is, just for a laugh here, and find out where she can be playing and all that stuff. We'll do that straight ahead. It's Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Buy gold in them there hills, is what I say. Yukon Jack right there. Hey, gold is important, especially when it comes to the world we're living in. Things can go sideways. I don't know if you're aware of this. And you've got investments. You're looking around. Gold through the roof right now. Great way to protect yourself. Great way to protect yourself from inflation, what you've built. Everybody should diversify. I've got gold. I've had it for a long time. I was a broker at one time, and it's just a smart thing to do. So if you're saying to yourself, Chad, all right, tell me more. Do this. Text the word Benson to 989898 today for Birch Gold. When you do, they're going to send you out an investor kit. Easy and simple. No hard sell. They just want to show you how easy to move their IRA over. It's a great way to protect your future, your kids' future. And in times of chaos, Birch Gold is gold itself is a wonderful thing that you should be looking at. So text the word Benson to 9898 today for Birch Gold.
All right, drivers, got a crash over here, 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane. Then in Murray County, still got that construction work impacting 65 southbound. That'll be past Saturn Parkway. Police reporting a crash now, 440 eastbound near the Granny White Pike overpass. And a crash on the right shoulder, 65 northbound before Trinity Lane, north of downtown. We have the readout of the Putin call. The call between President Trump and Vladimir Putin coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I will say, people saying, was Burl Ives on Green Sleeves? Singing Green Sleeves on TV? Burl Ives was great. That was awesome.
I don't know. I often say wrong things at the right time.
It's okay. Jamie Paul joins us, jazz singer. She's got a Gershwin album coming out a little bit. She's going to be singing at Christmas carols with
Larry Gatlin.
Larry Gatlin. And you have other people lined up for that as well?
Well, no. So this is just the Christmas single.
The single. So that's just a single. Are you going to do a whole full album?
Maybe. We did a Christmas album back in 2012.
You want me? I'm really good at it.
And yes, totally.
Please. I need that.
We all need that.
Yes.
I used to be in a band. We were called Extreme Rogers. We did Kenny Rogers songs at 100 miles an hour.
That's
did you wear
fantastic.
Aaron Rodgers jerseys as you did it?
No, we didn't do that.
Okay.
Settle down.
That would have been funny.
You. But that's going to be awesome, though. How long does it take to do a single?
Oh, gosh. I mean, it depends. We have been back and forth about the key of the song so that it can, marry my vocal range with Larry's. He's like a super high tenor, so that makes it kind of easy on us. But I think the producer started thinking about this key-wise at least a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. And my agent and I started talking about it like 2.5, maybe 3 months ago. And then we had to call Larry and get him on board. And, so.
Did you know him before this? Were you guys?
No, I mean, I know of him, obviously.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously. But so, how does that work? How do you approach somebody and go, hey, I want you to do a single with me?
Well, so it's all about agents and managers and who you know and who you don't know.
Well, yeah.
So our agent, his name is Jack. Jack also books Larry on individual gigs. I mean, Larry's also booked through William Morris, but Jack works his tail off trying to get all of his artists, all these shows. So Larry is one of his artists. And so he called Larry, I think he called the assistant first. Her name is Bonnie. And Bonnie said, yeah, send me some videos, send me some, songs that she does. So Larry heard it and he just said, yes, I want to do this.
Do you get nervous singing in front of people that are, like a Winona? Was that the first time you did it? Were you a bit nervous?
Oh, yeah. Totally. I mean, and Garth Brooks, actually, he said this, a long time ago. He said, if you don't get butterflies in your stomach before performing, that's not a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign.
Right. So I always get butterflies in my stomach before I perform, background vocal or live. I mean, just always I get, and so I like that. I like that. I still get that nervous excitement.
Well, that's a good thing. But it's like that time you're there. Do you get that nervous, like when you're, because like you said, you go there for the Winona, you're singing in this thing that's going to be a little bit different because you guys are going to be so loud comparatively to 20,000 people in the crowd. So that's a much different thing. And you think, oh, do you get nervous? We get nervous when, Larry Gatlin comes in. Do you think you're going to get a little bit nervous?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I got nervous before I was coming here.
As you do, right? As you do. Nobody's listening. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of us.
100,000 watt radio
station. How did you if you guys don't know, Jamie Paul sings the Busy Bee thing, and I heard it, and I said, oh man, we should have her sing songs for us and kind of stuff. But how did you get the jingle thing?
So years and years ago, Leaf was playing for an artist named T.G. Shepherd, also a country legend. His wife, Kelly Lang, I would sing background vocals for on various live events and projects. And their piano player is Buddy Hyatt. And Buddy Hyatt actually was also a piano player for Toto, but he lives up in Hendersonville. So Buddy got to know us through these shows that we were doing with T.G. and Kelly. And Buddy calls me one day and says, hey, I need you to sing this, this, and this. And then through that relationship, as me being one of his studio vocalists that I would go up to his house, he one day called and said, hey, I have this jingle. It's just a spec, though, so I'm only going to pay you X amount of dollars to do it on spec, and we'll see if they like it. It's for a heating and air conditioning company called Busy Bee. And I said, okay. So I drove up to his house, and we sang, I learned it, and we sang it there on the spot in 3 different ways. One was country, which you guys play. The other was jazz, and the other one was rock. And then Busy Bee put it out to their test audience, and they said, we like the country one the best. So that's the one that you guys play. So then I got this little note, and we were just cleaning out our closets the other day, and Leaf found this little note that was from Buddy, and he said, Jamie, I'm sending you more money because your demo vocal made it to the master for Busy Bee.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. So that was a little something special. But so anyway, so then, and that was it. So then I'm riding around in my car, listening to you guys, and I hear this commercial, and I'm freaking out, like I'm hearing myself on the radio, So it was just really cool. But that's how that came to be.
You ever thought I could set up a whole jangle thing? Look at Heat Leaf's like, yes, we can.
Yes.
I've been talking about it all the time.
Yes.
We need jingles. We need this. Let's do it all.
Oh, yeah.
Our buddy Nathan from Busy Bee, we've heard of him. He's just, he's chiming in, going, I'm listening to you. Yeah. So we're going to have her sing here in a minute. We appreciate you coming. Last question before you bounce. And
Sure.
We're going to be doing something. We're going to actually do a podcast with her in the very near future. There's going to be singing. It's going to be all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun, a little bit deeper in depth. When you go out on tour, like what's it like in front of, 20,000 people? It's even though you're not in front, the rush, whether you're playing the drums or the trumpet or whatever, that has to be.
It's amazing. It, honest to goodness, is amazing. It's euphoric is really the word that you could describe. It's just unlike anything. It's such a rush, and you look out and you see this sea of 25,000 people in like the Hollywood Bowl amphitheater, and you just say, oh, good gravy. How is this happening right now? And you get on the bus, and it's just like, wow, this is amazing. So it really is just unlike anything.
They still take a bus?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Leaf was just on tour for the past couple of years with Zach Williams, who's a really, really well-known Southern rock Christian artist, and he had, 2 or 3 buses, something like that.
Wow, that's crazy.
So,
that's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it is.
I'm like, did they still do that? Is everybody just fly private? Or,
No, I mean, you do. You have fly dates every once in a while, but it's so few and far between when that happens. And then you have cruises, that you'll go on, and we were just guest artists on the Family Life, Love Like You Mean It marriage cruise.
Oh, wow, that'd have been cool. Being on a cruise.
That was amazing. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. We've done several cruises.
They don't let me on a cruise anymore, but whatever. I am the captain now. I am the captain, because the last time I was like, I am the captain. Like, you're really not, sir. You're going to have to get off here. Jim Paul, appreciate you coming on. We're going to have her in studio. We're going to do a big podcast with her coming up very soon. You guys are going to like it because we're going to have music, jazz. It's going to be all kinds of things. I'm going to play an instrument that I don't play, maybe the recorder or something like that. It's going to be just awesome.
The kazoo.
The kazoo, maybe. We got a lot of stuff still coming up. We'll go back to politics because you guys aren't angry enough. We'll do that straight ahead. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Now we're going to do a commercial in a minute. You can sing into Busy Bee.
Okay.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, drivers got that crash, 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane, then in Murray County, construction work, 65 southbound past Saturn Parkway. Right now in our nation's capital, Karen Travers says the groundwork is being laid for peace in Ukraine after President Trump spoke with Vladimir Putin on the phone today.
The White House says that Russia's President Putin agreed to a pause on strikes on energy and infrastructure sites. But notably, the White House readout of their phone call doesn't indicate that Putin agreed to the 30-day ceasefire that Ukraine and the U.S. worked out, and Ukraine agreed to without conditions. The two leaders, according to the White House, agreed to start negotiations on implementation of a ceasefire in the Black Sea, a full ceasefire, and then a permanent peace. The White House says those talks will begin immediately in the Middle East, but doesn't say who will be included.
Now, the ceasefire in Gaza is shattered after Israel got tired of Hamas refusing to agree to terms of a second phase to release all of the hostages. ABC News contributor and former Defense Department official Mick Mulroy says it would be in Hamas's interest to come back to the negotiating table.
There's no requirement that you stop collecting intelligence. So they probably had a lot of these targets ready to go if the ceasefire broke down, and it obviously did. And so I think that's why a lot of these targets will be significant when it comes to depleting Hamas of its leadership, potentially the arsenals hitting the areas where they keep their weapons and munitions. And it'll likely go on until there's an agreement.
Chief Justice John Roberts pushing back on President Trump's suggestion that federal judge James Boasberg be impeached for blocking deportation flights over the weekend. Roberts issuing a 2-sentence statement that says for more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Busy Bee Plumbing is amazing. I'll tell you guys right now. Just talking to Nathan, our buddy over there. If you got problems with your plumbing, HVAC, Busy Bee, right? You join the famous Beehive Club, and it's silly not to. They'll come out, right? You want to be in the club. You don't want to be some of those people not in the club. Call them up. It's like, my stuff's, it's backed up. And they're sorry you're not in the club. We'll come out, but it's going to be a little bit later. When you're in the Beehive Club, out they come. Just 2 inspections a year. Pays for the whole thing. Silly not to. They've got tons of deals, tons of packages. They'll take care of it. Whether it's your HVAC, whether it is your plumbing, and maybe you need your main line checked, or maybe a full HVAC, Busy Bee's got you covered. Join the Beehive Club today. Tell them I sent you. Call them, 775-7833, 775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com.
Busy Bee, oh, Busy Bee, if you need heat or cold AC. Busy Bee, oh, Busy Bee, call 775-7833.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
I love having fun, talking about other things, man. I'm telling you, if you can't do that, you know, people say it's different from my show and everybody else. Just I like to talk to people about everything because that's life. You know, we all too often we spend our days, you know, run around we're talking politics and it gets crazy at times and it gets cantankerous and you know and in a tribal world, people, can I just say in a tribal world, music, sports. It brings people together like you cannot believe. It does. And I love that. And I love talking, Jamie Paul, who was just on. Make sure you check out her album and stuff. She's got one coming out, and we're going to have her on again. And she sings the Busy Bee thing that's, I thought was hilarious. And I'm like, I want to talk to her just because it was interesting. And listening to listening to them talk about like what it's like to be a backup singer, travel the world, that 5-10 feet from stardom and that kind of thing is cool. It is. And then you get back to the normal stuff of chaos and craziness. So, Mr. Ken Weaver.
What's up, Brother Chad?
What exactly came out of the call with Trump and the Pooter? Do we know?
Putin says he's going to stop. He's going to stop his attacks on Ukrainian energy infrastructure, but that's about it.
Still kill Ukrainians, just not blow up their stuff.
Yeah, gonna keep the heat on, that sort of thing, and they apparently agreed to start talking more about kind of what Putin had talked about, the root causes. That sort of thing. So immediate work on a larger peace plan, immediate negotiation to begin in the Middle East.
Yeah,
but basically that's it right now. I mean, basically Putin just said, okay, I'll stop attacking their energy infrastructure for now.
You know what Trump should do? Hey, NATO, you guys want to be a help here? We all want to be pals? You guys got to get involved in this chaos in the Middle East. You guys got to get involved. Like, everybody's getting involved, right? If we're all in this thing together, this hell of this 5 miles of a nightmare, we're all getting in this thing together. But this was always going to be a conversation that was going to take weeks and potentially a few months. I have a feeling by the middle of summer, maybe I'm wrong, Trump and them have something ironed out. But you're also, think about this, you're negotiating for another nation. Even though they want to be a part of it, those two guys aren't going to be in the same room together.
No.
Right? I mean, do you really think that Vladimir Zelensky and the Putin are going to be in the same room together? That'd be tough. Where would you even meet? Because you're not, if you're Zelensky, you're never going to Moscow.
No.
Would you meet in the middle somewhere? In the Donbassy region?
Would they bring them to the White House?
It's a possibility.
I mean, you got to think maybe a neutral ground is the best
But here's the
scenario.
thing. Putin, both of them have, those international criminal charges or whatever. There's tons of that stuff out there. Would you meet in international waters, right? Like on a boat? No.
You know what? I don't see Putin agreeing
I
to
wouldn't
do
get anywhere
any
near
of
Putin.
that. Yeah.
Well, he could probably kick all their butts, in a sense.
Well,
Like, if it got to physical altercations, I hate to say it, but Putin has the
well, it's just that he's just
hand-to-hand
also
combat.
Putin. There's and there's no way I think those two would meet.
Yeah, Putin is the type of person that he has to look like the winner.
Yeah, well, you've got to make it seem like he's the winner, and you have to tell, because we've talked about this. Where, if you guys don't know, if you've ever read the Art of War with Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu's big thing was you never surround your enemies on 4 sides, right? Never give them that desperation. You always give them some sort of, if you will, off-ramp. And Putin needs to feel like that I can return home as a victor.
Right.
Right? That's a must. You can't have it otherwise if you're him. And is he going to feel like he's a victor? Yeah, he's going to end up getting more land. He's going to say, I stopped the encroachment of the West. And I've always been curious about this. One of the things I would ask him, let's just say you got the things that you really want. Let's not BS each other here, Vlad. You would love to have rolled into Kyiv. First of all, holding a country, ask anybody in the military. If you think destroying a country, rolling in there and defeating their military is tough. Yes, if you think that's tough, though, try holding a country where you occupy it. Where every window has the potential of being a sniper. Every ounce of water you drink or food could kill you. That's a tough thing. But I would ask Vlad straight out, hey, dude, just out of curiosity, let's just say you did do that. And Poland is part of NATO. So your move westward, if you will, would have brought the West closer to you. So what would you have done then? Were you going to invade Poland, which... I don't think there's any chance in hell he would ever think about invading Poland at this point in time because I think he realizes Poland is loaded for bear.
Yeah, they're ready to go.
Yeah, they're itching.
They are.
They are. They don't they still have, they're like, we got receipts from like the 30s and 40s. Mm-hmm. And you guys, Germany, we're looking at you.
Well, do you remember at the start of this thing when Putin's troops got bogged down? They had military vehicles stuck in the mud. If they are that inept and NATO is involved, that entire Russian military line would have been decimated.
Oh, destroyed.
Sitting ducks.
Destroyed. I mean, say what you want about the Ukrainians. Remember, these are just people at this point in time. Their military is everybody, all hands on deck. And while we gave them sophisticated tools, somebody still got to pull the trigger. Somebody still has to stand there and fight. And they have fought them to a virtual standstill with a smaller military and guts. So like Ken said, they would have been just destroyed if NATO would have got involved. They would have marched over them. And part of that is the fact that those oligarchs for years took all that money, gave them crap stuff because they never thought anybody would challenge them. And they never thought that, because you got nuclear weapons, you don't really need a big military if you got nuclear weapons. But their military was a paper tiger. It wasn't a tiger. Doesn't mean they don't fight hard, but they ran out of that. And he also didn't deplete from certain other areas. But yeah, Ken, you're right, man. They would have just been hell, if Poland would have got involved by itself, they could have marched. Because remember, what was that? The guy that ran his militants.
Oh, what was that guy? Yeah, who somehow wound up in a plane that crashed?
Yeah, somehow. But remember, he started marching towards Moscow, and the military that he had was like, go on through because we're not going to fight you.
Right.
We don't want any part of what you have. So, it's not as battle-hardened as it used to be. There's still some Spetsnaz guys out there, some guys that are some badasses. But it ain't everybody. And their military as a whole lacked in a major way a lot. And that included the equipment. Because the equipment, that was at the beginning of it. Remember how we were talking about how bad their equipment was? Because what happened is you give all these oligarchs these big contracts. They go out and they don't deliver anything. They deliver enough to make it look like a tank, but it's not really a tank that you would think. And they've struggled. So
Yevgeny Prigozhin.
Yeah, Prigozhin. No longer with us.
No. Somehow his plane went down.
Somehow the guy that challenged the Pooter and marched into Moscow but didn't quite get there because he stopped, somehow his plane went down.
Yeah.
Would you ever have gotten on an airplane?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
Dude, I wouldn't even know. I guess when you live in that world, I mean, you recognize that you're always somewhat on borrowed time. That includes Putin. I mean, here's the thing about dictators. The next person next to you that you think is your friend may push you out a window.
Yep.
So...
And make it look like an accident.
And make it look like... Or you know what? When you're challenging the king, you don't make it look like an accident. You take over. And so, Putin... I'm sure he thinks... I mean, could you imagine the paranoia that guy has?
Oh, yeah.
Because he lived in a world of paranoia. He created paranoia for everybody. So, that whole thing is just... Here we are, years later. Billions and billions of dollars. Some of it disappeared, but a lot of it was spent killing a bunch of people that didn't need to die. And now we're at a point where those people that also made tons of money, including us, I continue to go back, go see where a vast majority of that money went for the Ukraine. Everybody's like, they got billions. They got nothing compared to what our armed, giant, huge war machines who create got. And go see who's going to rebuild all those things. Well, it just happens that we also have a construction company. And that's one of the things Trump's doing, too. You think he's negotiating stuff. Don't be surprised if we come out of this with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
hey, guys.
Trump is definitely going to ask for something.
Oh, totally. Totally. And then they're going to get mad because not only is he going to get something, he's going to get something in conjunction and or partnership with Putin, which is going to make everybody mad. But, hey, they got to pay us back. They gave you a loan. I didn't. You want our support? You're going to get involved. And yes, we're going to take some of these minerals. So those are apples. How do you like them? Ooh, going to be interesting for sure. Spicy times, kids. Spicy times. Coming up, a lot of stuff still to get to today. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Immigration. Chuck Schumer spoke out today in his crazy way. I keep saying, look, Democrats can be mad at Chuck Schumer all they want. But there was a reason for the issues and the reason why he went along with the CR. And I don't think they realize that as they run around screaming and yelling, they're going to take away everything and they're going to do this and we should have fought harder. Well, you're worried about Doge. You should have thought about what would happen if they closed everything down. Ooh. Talk about that. Got Ken's News, bunch of other stuff. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Omaha Steaks, D to delicious. You will love these things. Right now, 50% off site-wise. Semi-annual sale going on. Use my code, Benson, when you check out. They're going to give you an extra $30 off. And what I mean, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. So they've got assortments of packages. Maybe you want chicken breasts, dogs, burgers, and some fillets. They've got that. Maybe they got some sirloin, some fillets, and some pork chops. They've got that. Maybe you're like, Chad, you know what I want? The best of the best fillets. I want it wrapped in bacon, and I only want that. They've got that. They've got surf and turf, everything, all backed by an unconditional 100% bite-for-bite money-back guarantee. Last night, we had amazing tacos. My wife took the hamburger meat, ground it up, and we had incredible tacos. They were delicious. If you're like me and you love delicious food, Omaha Steaks delivers at a price that will not break the bank and 50% off site-wide right now. Go to omahasteaks.com. Use code Benson. Get $30 off at checkout. omahasteaks.com. Use my code to save an extra $30 off. That's code Benson. omahasteaks.com. Code Benson.
The Trump-Putin phone call readout, and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says fighting in Gaza is back on, quote, full force, and it's only the beginning. These stories and more coming up at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Day 2, SNAP, food for poor kids, not essential. Day 4, mass transit, New York City subway and subways all over, not essential. Day 7, Medicaid, not essential. People don't need Medicaid. They should get their own health care. And this would happen over and over and over again, and there's no check.
That right there is Chuck Schumer talking about what would happen if they had no continuing resolution. That Trump and Elon would run free in the middle of the night, like two kids home alone, doing whatever they want to the government, whenever they wanted. And then everybody would be mad at him.
If we ended up a shutdown 3 weeks from now, people would come to me and they'd say, they just cut off my Medicaid. They just got rid of my veterans benefits. Stop it. And I say, we can't. We're in a shutdown. And then they'd say to me, why did you let the shutdown happen?
I stood up for him the last couple of days because I recognize that. It's easy to yell at him. Oh, we want him gone. Go ahead. Go for the shutdown. But several people pointed out, including myself, by the way, very nice. Trump could have essentially said, we're going to keep stuff open that the public likes. We're going to close the things that we think we may not need. We're going to have a test run here. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. People will still get their checks. The military will still get paid. We'll pick and choose a little bit of this stuff. And the rest of it, well, canary in a coal mine. We'll see what happens. And then everybody would have come to him and said, you can't, what did you do? I mean, he was in a no-win situation. As you may dislike Chuck Schumer all you want, whatever. I mean, the politicians look 6 1/2 dozen of the others, the way I look at a lot of them. But he was stuck because Trump and everybody else had him over a barrel. Trump didn't want a shutdown, but at the same time, he wasn't against it because they could have gone and had some fun. Run around, right? Get rid of Medicare, Medicaid, which every time they ask him, they say, we're not going to do that. Do I believe them? I don't know. Do I believe that they're not going to get rid of Social Security? Well, they're not going to get rid of Social Security. Do I think that they may change Social Security? I don't think they'll have a choice. By the way, Social Security is going to change one way or another. Either we get in front of it and act like mature adults and say, we've got to do something, or it'll change on its own when it runs out of money. Either way, it's happening. It's either we're going to go nose first into the ground, or we can have a hard landing, but eventually the plane can fix itself and we can take off again. Those things are coming. I see Ken in there shaking his head. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's where we're at.
Yeah, I don't. You can't have the conversation with people because I get it here on the text line, not from everybody, from a lot of people. I don't want my Social Security taken away. It's not about you today. It's about 10, 15 years from now. And by the way, that's going to change if we don't change something. I don't think people realize that. How long is this going to last? Until it doesn't. And that's kind of where we're at. We shall see. Third hour of the big program coming up. A lot of stuff still to get to. More on the Putin call. Hello there, Vladimir calling you, Mr. President. How are you today? Talk a little bit about that. Some immigration stuff as well. Arson attacks, deemed terrorism against Tesla in Las Vegas. A bunch of other things. You missing the show? Grab the podcast. Chad Benson Show.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in our nation's capital, Karen Travers says the groundwork being laid for possible peace in Ukraine after President Trump spoke with Vladimir Putin on the phone today.
The White House says that Russia's President Putin agreed to a pause on strikes on energy and infrastructure sites. But notably, the White House readout of their phone call doesn't indicate that Putin agreed to the 30-day ceasefire that Ukraine and the U.S. worked out, and Ukraine agreed to without conditions. The two leaders, according to the White House, agreed to start negotiations on implementation of a ceasefire in the Black Sea, a full ceasefire, and then a permanent peace. The White House says those talks will begin immediately in the Middle East, but doesn't say who will be included.
As ceasefire in Gaza is shattered after Hamas refused to agree to terms of a second phase to release all of the hostages, ABC News contributor and former Defense Department official Mick Mulroy says it would be in Hamas' interest to come back to the negotiating table.
It doesn't seem that Hamas cares too much about the plight of the Palestinian people in Gaza. At least it hasn't shown, in my mind, any concern to date. They brought this on Gaza, but that they have to pressure them directly. If they start feeling that they are on the verge of collapse and the leadership is going to be completely decimated, or they're going to lose all of their capacity to hide themselves in tunnels, that's when they're going to come to the table and try to do something.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says fighting has resumed in Gaza with, quote, full force, and it is just the beginning. The U.S. Supreme Court's Chief Justice pushing back on recent criticism from President Trump regarding the federal judge who tried to block 2 deportation flights to El Salvador. Roberts issuing a 2-sentence statement that says for more than 2 centuries it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. Roberts said in the statement, he said the normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. Meanwhile, here's Devin Dwyer.
The bottom line is that the Trump administration is in a standoff with a federal judge who is trying to get more information about what has happened. Those flights, of course, already left. We've seen the pictures of those alleged gang members being delivered to El Salvador, to a notoriously harsh prison. But we don't know who those people are. The government says they're terrorists, but in an affidavit they said none of the men on that plane had criminal records, and they did not provide any other details. They're citing national security concerns.
Murfreesboro police want you to ignore something you may see online today.
Someone posted a fake news report on social media this morning saying there's an active gunman on Broad Street near MTSU with a SWAT team present. Well, MPD says that's not accurate, and they're asking that you not share that post. WSMV reports the real story is a search warrant was served at a nearby home, and a man and a woman are now in custody. There is no threat to the community. Joan Jones, WTN News.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
In honor of the 47th president, our good friends over at the Wellness Institute of Nashville have the Big 47 going on, 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. It's the Big 47 offer going on right now. It is, if you've ever been in a situation where you've had bad back, you know how bad it can be. For a lot of people out there listening, you guys have tried everything. Surgery is your last resort, but you haven't tried the Wellness Institute of Nashville. And I'm telling you guys right now, this is what it's all about. It is non-surgical decompression. So the spinal decompression machine, it heals the disc. It opens up the disc so that the blood nutrients can get to the area and heal the spinal disc and nerve. Does the same thing with knee decompression. It is awesome. If you've been frustrated, and many of you have, and I've heard you, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley are going to take care of you, and you cannot believe it. You go in there, they build you a plan for you, and they're going to treat you like nobody's business. From top to bottom, you're going to start living a better, healthier, happier, more mobile life. Call them today. Take advantage of the Big 47 going on right now, 47% off. Non-surgical spinal decompression. It's simple and easy to do. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. Or check them online at painisbad.com. Yeah.
Still bothered that Jamie does not like it? Doesn't listen?
Look, it's not everybody's cup of tea. AC/DC. I get that.
It's like you're going to go to bed. Your wife's like, what's wrong? It's just, she didn't listen to AC/DC.
Look, AC/DC is not everybody's cup of tea. They're not. I mean, they're just, like of the 8 billion people in the world, there's 7,995,999 love them. But whatever. What are you going to do? We're
the
joking.
Grudge
earlier.
is strong with this one.
Yeah. Jamie Paul came in earlier. She's a singer, jazz singer. She's amazing talent, like through the roof. Her and her husband were here, like just great people. But I was joking about that, and she's like, look, if you've got real talent, like I doubt Beethoven would be like, I'm not really a fan. Although you never know. You never know. Everybody's got their little thing. Like, he might, Beethoven might like, you know what I really like? All About That Bass.
Good Lord.
How funny would that be?
I would judge. I don't think I can. I would have to judge him.
You can judge him all you want. He was pretty talented from what I hear.
I don't know. I haven't heard much about him.
Kids, he made a movie. It's called Beethoven. It's a dog.
Oh, the dog. Yeah, I know about the dog.
Yeah, everybody does. Somebody texted earlier, what's going on with JFK? Well, not here anymore. Died. And that's the big thing. How? Why? Who did it? I don't know.
There was 27 gunmen.
That's everything from the magic bullet to 27 gunmen. 80,000 pieces of paper. We're still waiting.
The president's announcement that the files would be released today appears to have sparked a scramble overnight at the Justice Department to have attorneys reviewing thousands of papers before they're declassified. Lawyers in the department's National Security Division were emailed just before 5 p.m. yesterday, demanding a second set of eyes on what was described as an urgent project. Sources say the attorneys were up all night, each one scouring over hundreds of pages.
I have no idea what they're looking for. So 80,000 pages. Apparently they found out. Here's the thing with working for somebody like Donald Trump. You're going to get in the space of 6 months to a year, 4 years of everything. Go, chaos, excitement, fun, frustration, all of the stuff. And that's what I always say, because I've talked to a lot of people that worked for him for a long time. You have a sell-by date. And these people, and sometimes you find out what's going on because of Twitter and the news. What are we doing? There's 80,000 pieces to go through. And I was talking to somebody earlier. I'm like, well, what is the holdup on some of these things? And they said, and you heard Chris Hand talking about, the people out there, the weaponized autistic people. I think he was calling them the people that need to go through this, line by line, cone by cone. A lot of what they're looking for is not so much agents, because let's be real. If it's the FBI, in particular, if it's the CIA and stuff like that, those people are either dead or they're in a CIA old folks home. That makes sense. Secondly, though, are we still using some of the techniques that maybe were used if indeed there was some stuff out there that was being used? And could that be an issue? That's one of the things they're looking at. So, normally when they're going through certain things, they're trying to hide agents and people's names and stuff like that. We're past that point. So people will scour through it. AI will scour through it. People will have their own opinions. This is my opinion of it from what I've heard from everybody who's seen a lot of these things, including MLK and RFK. Not junior, but senior. It is going to be embarrassing, but MLK and RFK have a potential to be far more damning. Like, did the CIA and the FBI know a lot more about, Lee Harvey Oswald and some of the stuff that was going on? Did they? That's a lot of what you're going to have here. What happened with MLK in particular, I think, is going to be damning because they've already readily admitted that they broke laws. Like, they felonies, like they serious issues. So, and remember, we're supposed to trust the FBI. But I think we're going to find out there was a lot more to that than people realize. And I think that's going to be much more damaging to than the JFK stuff. Now, if we come to find out in here, there's the smoking gun that is literally the smoking gun, well, that's a different story. But do I think that is going to happen? No. I just think it's going to be embarrassing. I think there was opportunities. There was more than a little bit of knowledge. There were spheres of which people traveled, but nothing was done. You can take that for what it's worth. But I think the other ones coming are going to be definitely a much more damaging issue for the likes of the FBI. And look, if you're Kash Patel, you want that out there. I think a lot of people want to see it. At the same time, why hasn't this stuff been out there before? Why do they always keep kicking this? And how much of this do you believe? That's the other side of it. If you really think that the CIA was involved in killing the president of the United States, that's probably none of this is going to change your mind. None of it is. If you think that was something that, hey, I know they did it. I know they were a part of it. I know they trained him. I know. Then what's going to change your mind if you don't find that in this? Probably nothing. And even if you believe that they didn't do it and there was something that was a smoking gun, is that really going to change your mind? Because a lot of times when people get on a certain kick, it's hard for them to get off of it. I read a great article today about conspiracy theories, that the more time, the less sleep you get, the more you're prone to conspiracy theories, which I found was fascinating. Because I don't sleep at all. And outside of aliens, I really don't believe in any of this stuff. I'm not saying there's not some conspiracies, but I think there's a lot of logical questions as well. I mean, yes, of course, our government is not always above board. Let's be honest. Interesting news coming out of Mexico. So did we send a bunch of people to El Salvador because they were part of gangs, supposedly, which I think is a very serious question because from what I understand, they haven't really said they were known gang members and committed crimes in court. That's kind of usually where you want to tell everybody, look, the reason we got rid of these people is because of this, this, and this. And they're like, which is not a good look. But Mexico has extradited MS-13 leader Francisco Javier Roman Valderles. He's a key leader in MS-13, listed on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. He was arrested in Mexico and subsequently extradited to the United States. Now, this is not somebody you put somewhere else. Some of these people, you're extraditing there not to send them elsewhere because you want to make sure that you have a hold of them. Because the fear of them getting out, no matter how bad it is, maybe we'll talk about that prison, CCOT, and how bad it is. And it is awful. It is a nightmare for prisoners. There's a reason that they are terrified of going there. It's a reason why many people are terrified to come here. But the fact that Mexico arrested and, did they do it the right way? I don't know. Las Vegas, Tesla. Terrorism?
Being investigated by the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force at around 2:44 in the morning, somebody dressed all in black fired a gun into Tesla vehicles parked at a Las Vegas Tesla collision center and then set 2 Teslas on fire using Molotov cocktails. The word resist was written on the building. FBI Special Agent in charge, Spencer Evans, says it may have been terrorism.
It certainly has some of the hallmarks that we might think, the writing on the wall, a potential, political agenda. There's an act of violence.
Alex Stone, ABC News.
Yeah, that's all remember, when you're attacking a Tesla car, which I'm just going to go out there and say is stupid, okay? It's a dumb thing. It's a car. It didn't do anything to you. It's what it represents. It's a Nazi mobile. It's not. It's not a Nazi mobile, okay? It's none of those things. When you attack a car, first of all, you're an idiot. When you attack a station that may charge vehicles, also an idiot, because you're doing it for it's the definition of terrorism is you're doing something on a political belief in using violence to try to change and or get people to shut up when it comes to their political beliefs. You're trying to change their beliefs. You're trying to change something. This is an act of terrorism. And it's crazy. Every day I go on the interwebs, because let's be honest, the interwebs are hilarious. There is somebody who knows better, right? You're a 55-year-old man, you're a grandfather, and you're scratching somebody's car with your key like you're an angry teenager. Because I don't like Elon Musk. You're an idiot. You are. That old guy from a couple days ago where they've got a camera on him, and he's scratching up the car. And then when they catch up to him, they're like, we filmed you doing it. He's like, wasn't me. Like he's Shaggy, wasn't me. And they're like, it was you. And he's like, it wasn't me. And they're like, well, here you are, basically. And it's like, well, what are you going to do? What's your excuse? I'm so angry at a person I've never met. Well, he's destroying my life. How's he destroying your life? Your life's not changed. None of it's changed. Well, he's getting rid of this, getting rid of that. He's making decisions. You may not like them, but those decisions are trying to move us forward in a world where we've decided to spend like a drunken sailor on shore leave who found a credit card with an unlimited amount of money, and now that's been cut off, and they said you weren't supposed to use that. It wasn't yours to use. Now you have to pay it back. And we don't know how. We don't know how to pay it back. We got no idea how to pay it back. We're not going to print any more money. Can't afford to print any more money. Devalue the dollar anymore? Inflation will go through the roof? How much more can we borrow? Our service to our debt is already higher than our military. Think about that. We're paying more to service our debt. So making tough decisions, which is what no politician wants to do, has to be done. And you're so mad, he's going to go and destroy somebody's car. I'm so mad. Immaturity everywhere. And I thought I was immature. Coming up, a lot of stuff still to squeeze into this hour. We got so much goodies still to get to. We're going to have some fun as well. What kind of fun? Well, you're going to be surprised, just like me, when we do it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 997. Bullwark Capital. My buddy Zach Abraham, 2 days from now, 5:30 our time, having a webinar. Now, I'm telling you guys, go to this. It's not something that takes much more than about 40 minutes. He is the best around. I swear by him. I send my family there, send everybody there. He is a guy that has changed the way I look at investing, changed the way I look at retirement, and it's just amazing. His big thing, first and foremost, is you can't invest money if you lose your money. So it's lower risk, lower cost, lower volatility with Bullwark. On top of that, they're going to show you how they see where things are going in 2025. And a lot of it's just common sense. but he's been ahead of the game in many, many ways when others have just struggled. If you're saying to yourself, that sounds interesting, it doesn't cost you anything. It's free. It's a live webinar. Takes about 40, 45 minutes. You ask questions. They're going to show you everything about what it is they do through active management and the risk management. It's awesome. Sign up today at knowyourriskradio.com. knowyourriskradio.com. KNOW, yourriskradio.com. Investment advisory service offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk, not a guarantee. Past performance, not guarantee future results. Trek 25137.
We'll let you hear the readout from the White House of the call between President Trump and President Putin today. And where is Doug when you need him? Metro Police had to round up an emu that was on the loose this morning in Midtown. We'll tell you how that went down at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I would have caught it, brought it back to my house. I'd be like, don't go in my office, honey. She's like, why? I said, don't go in there.
She went in there, didn't she?
It's my pet emo. Where'd you find it? It's none of your business. He was walking around town. I thought he was mine.
Can I keep him? Can I keep him? I promise to play and walk with him.
That's it. He's crapping everywhere. I don't care. He's awesome. So, emus everywhere. Good God, it's all happening here. It is. Trump getting rebuked, as they would say, by Chief Justice Roberts about this evil judge. I don't think this judge is evil. I think he's, he interprets the law the way he does. If you don't get things the way... Trump knew this thing, by the way, was going to get shot down. He was aware of this.
In an extraordinary move for the Chief Justice of the United States, John Roberts has issued a 2-sentence public statement pushing back against the president, who earlier called for the chief judge of the federal district court here to be impeached. Roberts responded, for more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to a disagreement concerning a judicial decision. Roberts says that's what the normal appellate review process is for.
Yeah. But that's what you say, right? Because the base wants you to hear you say, it's you, this guy's evil and he's bad, he hates me, and they're fighting this. Everybody judge shops. Everybody gets the thing they want. This is all about expediency. It's all about getting it to the Supreme Court. You go through the steps. He knew this one. He would have been way more surprised that somebody did shoot Kennedy that was part of the CIA than him, getting through this thing without being stopped. Trump knew this was going to happen. He knows a lot of these things are going to happen. Why? Because he's surrounded by good people. No, he says, look, at the appellate court, they're going to judge shop. They're going to find somebody who's going to interpret the law this way. We judge shop. We find people that interpret the law the way that we want, which is bizarre because you would like to think the law is what the law is, but so much of it's about interpretation. And then it goes up to the next court. Then it goes up to the Supreme Court, and they said, we'll hear it. We'll hear it. There you go. That's it. This is what it's about. Unfortunate that we're in a time where, both parties at the congressional level are terrified really to do anything because they're afraid the base will be mad or they'll afraid, if it's great for America, but it's not great for them, they probably wouldn't do it. I see you shaking your head. KGB's like, yep. I mean, am I right?
I mean, I wouldn't be shaking my head if I didn't agree.
I mean, I've said this. It's party first, personal second, people third. It's the 3 Ps. If something happened to trickle down to you, great. But as long as the party's happy, that means personally I'm doing all right, and then the people can have a little bit. Not a lot else you can say. And it's frustrating. And I get that. I know you guys, wow, let's get everybody out here. Let's get all these things out here. There's a process. And that process, and I'm not talking about the due process. I'm not talking about any of that. It's a process that we have a system here, checks and balances, and that you go through that system. Because we don't want kings. We don't want queens. We don't want dictators. That's why we have co-equal branches of government. And by the way, our founding fathers set it up. So Congress was supposed to be that 1% more. And they're useless. They are. Because they're way more concerned with how do they look, how many followers do I have, what's the soundbite that I got out there. They're way more concerned with that, which is frustrating indeed. Frustrating indeed. Coming up, what am I looking at? New York Times says Trump could close to 4,000 campsites in many of California's national forests. No. Why? Why are we? Because he's building casinos. It's going to be the Redwood Casino and Trump.
I would go to that. I'm not going to lie to you.
It'd be funny. Oh, my Lord.
Where'd you win the jackpot? Oh, in the Redwoods?
The Redwoods Casino. Trump Mini Golf Championship. It's going to be awesome.
7 years running.
I saw this week, he won a golf championship. Again?
Well, his age group is incredibly small.
I was going to say it's him, right?
I think it's like 4. Again, he has to, when it comes to club championships.
Oh, yeah, he's a hell of a golfer, by the way.
No, he's a great golfer.
Yeah.
There's nothing denying that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to these club championships, they do it in age groups.
Yeah, I know.
And there's not a lot of 80-year-olds that are competing
what
at
do you
the same
shoot?
level. I'm an 18. I'm not very good.
So if you go out, you're shooting about 98? You get under 100?
95 is my usual average.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, my best is an 84, so it kind of helped me out a little bit.
Okay, there you go. And Ken, what do you drink?
I was getting ready to say, I do about 3 holes before I have to quit because the line behind me is...
I'll tell you what I drink, Chad, or whatever I want when I'm golfing. I'll golf your face off the face. That's what I say to that right there. Coming up, let's talk a little bit about that evil, horrible place that nobody wants to go in, El Salvador. Got some interesting stuff about that. A bunch of other things still to get to. It is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers, I'm still seeing police working a crash 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane. Full forecast in 5 minutes. The readout from the White House of the call between President Trump and President Putin says both leaders agreed that the conflict needs to end with a lasting peace. And according to it, Trump and Putin said movement to peace will begin with an energy and infrastructure ceasefire. Here's James Longman in Kyiv.
The commitment to stop hitting energy infrastructure, that is significant for Ukraine because, cities across this country, millions of people have have been dealing with the impact of a relentless barrage on energy infrastructure, rolling blackouts, power shortages. So that is significant. But make no mistake, Vladimir Putin is playing a strategic game here.
And the readout does not include Putin agreeing to the 30-day ceasefire that Ukraine had agreed to. Meanwhile, in Gaza, Israel has relaunched airstrikes because Hamas refused to agree to the terms of releasing the remaining hostages. ABC News contributor and former Defense Department official Mick Mulroy says the agreement needs to get back on track soon before more people die.
Apparently took out quite a few of the Hamas leadership, but there's also a lot of civilians that were injured in this fighting. So it is imperative that this gets back to at least the agreement that they can extend the first phase of the ceasefire. Humanitarian aid needs to get in.
Yeah, Netanyahu not ruling out sending ground troops into Gaza again. Right now in Middle Tennessee, a report says rent in some of the most expensive cities went down. Channel 4 says Zumper found that Franklin, Nashville, Spring Hill, Murfreesboro, Gallatin, Hendersonville all had the highest one-bedroom rent prices throughout the state, but each of them saw at least a 1% drop in price since the previous year. Clarksville is the only city that saw an increase in rent prices, but it's still below the state median price. You can get a one-bedroom apartment in Clarksville for $970. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Water, rain, still here. Maybe you got poor drainage, surface water, floods over walls, underground pressure forces water into basements. I mean, we get what's going on. It's nasty out there. United Structural Systems is there to help you. Since 1994, 30,000 customers, 5-star reviews. They're amazing, 100% satisfaction residual when it comes to their residential customers. They love them. And we've talked about it before over and over again, the professionalism, the way they handle things. If you've got issues with your foundation, worry about, I don't know, let's see, standing water, odors, wood rot, mold. United Structural Systems is there for you. Call 615-488-7855 today. Let them come out, take a look. It's not going to cost you anything. And they're not going to put you in anything either. They're not going to throw you into something where you don't need it, because I've seen too much of that where people come out, they try to sell you stuff you don't need. That isn't them. Call them today if you've got any worry about your foundation, crawl spaces, anything like that, basement. 615-488-7855 or online at USSTN.com.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
you miss any of the show, shame on you. Make sure you like and subscribe on our Facebook. Like the show as well. Just click right there. Simple and easy to do. We're on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Not quite Rumble. Not quite. We're getting there. Pinterest, not yet. Hot air balloons coming soon. So make sure you go like. Appreciate that. Helps out the show big time. A lot of you chiming in about the judges and said, all these judges, these activist judges. The other side, everybody's an activist judge, right? Like the left says the same thing about the right judges, and somebody says we need to get rid of all of them. The issue is who gets to decide what is a activist judge? If you interpret the law, because that's what it's about. It's about interpretation of the law. That's it. I mean, you've got some people who think the founding fathers wanted this to be a constitution that was living and breathing and interpreted in certain ways, and the other people who believe that it is originalist, that this is it. This how they wrote it is what it's all about. Who gets to interpret what? Maybe you go, okay, at the federal level, if you're overturned X amount of times, maybe there's an issue there. But then, you could say the same thing about judge shopping. We shouldn't shop judges. If they're looking to do something to you federally and they decided, hey, in this state, we got no chance. We got to take them, 8 states away for something. Well, then those are questions that need to be asked. I think all of us, and I think I speak for a lot of you guys out there, because I think most of you are originalists, but I think all of us want judges to be as impartial as possible. Give me the real reading. You sit there, you listen to what everybody's talking about, no matter what it is. It could be immigration, whatever it is. And your opinion being non-biased, not activist, just straightforward, non-biased. Maybe it has to be AI one day. Maybe that's going to be it. We're just going to have computers because we're not going to trust each other. The reason, though, that Trump did what he did, in my humble opinion, is the fear factor. The fear factor of going to this prison in El Salvador is real. If you guys don't know anything about the prison, CCOT, you saw a lot of the pictures and the videos the other day. It can hold about 42-ish thousand people, give or take. I'm sure if they needed to put more in there, they could. I think there's only about 15,000, give or take, in there right now. But a couple years ago, they started letting some journalists in. There was pictures only, but an Aussie camera crew got to do kind of a mini documentary, one of the first to do it. And let's just say, a little shocking.
We're about to see inside this fortress. But first, there are multiple checkpoints. And the entire area has state-of-the-art mobile phone blocking technology. The sheer scale and hopelessness of this place is staggering.
Staggering. It is a picture out in the middle, because El Salvador's got a lot of lush, beautiful, just gorgeous areas. And it's this giant, huge monster facility. And it is modern as it gets, right? Because you ever watch any of those shows on A&E where they go to to prisons around the world, and they're a crap hole. I mean, it's held together by chicken wire and guys on the crow's nest ready to shoot anybody who tries to move, kind of thing. This is concrete and modern, and it is not a joke. You don't want to be there. Going there is one of those things where they're locking you up and throwing away the key.
Your country has gone from having the highest murder rate per day in the world to now having the highest incarceration rate.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not sure which title is better.
But if you have imprisoned the right guys, it's a good result. Minimum is 20 years, and maximum is 45 years. If you were a leader, you receive 15 years in addition.
On top of that?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're a shot caller, you get an extra 15 just for being some. So this Aussie guy, this is one of those journos. Hey, what's up? It's me, a journo, right? He's got the outfit on where he's rolled his sleeves up. I'm here in front of a whole bunch of people. I want to paint the picture for this thing. It is as concrete as it gets. There is nothing inside of this place outside of, when you see our prisons, they've got a couple guards here, a couple guards there. A lot of it's modern. It's a push of a button. They let them in and out in certain areas. It's meant to have as little interaction in certain places with the inmates as possible. And when there is interaction, it's a few people, because it's not going to be a one-on-one. This is totally different. Like, this is one of those things where they're inside of what would be the cage. In front of it is just a concrete walkway, but it's pretty big. And there's tons of military and police presence.
We are living in democracy. Why? Because we are listening our citizens, not Human Rights Watch, no, they are not Salvadorian.
So tough laws for tough crimes.
That's right.
Well, Minister, no one could accuse you of being too soft.
He's no joke either, by the way. He does not care about these people. Now, just to give you a snapshot of El Salvador, about 7,000 murders almost. I want you guys, the amount of murders in a country that small. It's like 100 and some. It's crazy. We can't even wrap our heads around like how absolutely dominant, as bad as, and here's the thing, unlike the cartels and a lot of other stuff, think about these guys were just running roughshod over everybody. And unlike the cartels, the business side wasn't as defined, where the cartels own a space, in many cases, by the border. The whole country was enveloped in chaos because of MS-13 and 18th Street Barrio. Plus, you've also got, and this is what happened in the 80s. In the 80s here, there was an explosion of El Salvadorian gang members that came here, but they weren't gang members originally, but they were guys who left a war. The Civil War in El Salvador, came here and then were loaded for bear and had, all the training, had been in wars, and that's how a lot of these things blossomed. But when you go to this thing, be prepared if you're stuck there, because you get nothing. You wear white boxers, a white shirt, you have shoes, that's it.
There's no sheets, no mattresses. They sleep on cold steel frames, and they eat the same meal every single day. Utensils are banned, so they use their hands. There's just 2 open toilets in each of these massive cells, and the lights stay on 24/7. But how many here might be innocent, simply guilty of just being in the wrong place at the wrong time?
And that's what a lot of people around the world are worried about. Well, they're because you get all these people that say that stuff, right? They're like, they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. When you look at these guys in this video, everybody here's inked from top to bottom. Their faces are covered in tattoos. They are gangsters across the board. Yes, sir.
The background, the music is very fitting.
It is very fitting.
Like it's like demonic in a sense.
Yeah, and the 24 hours. Think about 24 hours a day light.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I need the dark when I sleep.
No blankets. So there's no blankets. They're like these metal cots that you lay on. The bathrooms, it takes a strong person to go to the bathroom in front of hundreds of men. Like, go to the bathroom. It takes a strong... There's no joke. Eating with your hands every day. Same meal. Twice a day, you eat with your hands.
Yeah, I think it's like a purposely trying to drive these people insane kind of tactic.
It's, as this guy says, this is no longer about rehab. You're such a bad human being. Because to join MS-13, you have to be a killer. That's how you get in the group. So this is not about Let's rehab you. Maybe you can be good one day. This is the exact opposite. You're so bad, we got to keep you away from the public, and we're going to do it in a way that says you're punished.
In the eyes of the government, these men are beyond help. And despite an outcry from human rights organisations around the world, nothing is about to change anytime soon. And any form of rehabilitation, well, that's well and truly off the table.
We don't believe in rehabilitation for them. They are a serial killer, and until now, the science can discover some treatment to reset this type of mind. So until the science can be discovered something, we don't think or we don't apply any type of rehabilitation.
So if they come up with something and science says, hey, when you give these guys these pills, they will become essentially pussycats. That'd be nice, right? They're going to be, they're never going to commit a crime again. They're going to just be dormant in their anger. And that's what's going to happen. So there's a reason nobody wants to go there. And Trump knows that. Just like there was a reason that El Chapo didn't want to come here and that Pablo Escobar would kill anybody in his way back in the day, any politician who threatened to say, hey, U.S., we will extradite drug traffickers to you guys because the fear of going certain places. They finally got him to stop killing Pablo by doing what? Saying, all right, you're under house arrest. And he's like, well, I'm going to build my own prison. And I'm going to have a discotheque and a zoo and girls can come by. And I'm going to have a soccer game here with
Xboxes.
like I'm going to have hippos or whatever the wacky stuff he had there.
I would avoid the hippos. Those things will kill everybody.
Well, that's the problem right now is his hippos got out eventually after everybody let everything go to hell. And now they're running wild throughout the Amazon, which is a nightmare. But this is no joke. Nobody wants to go there.
Well, that's next level. I mean, the conditions in there are like something you've never seen. The infrastructure's great, it's all shiny and new, but those cells, the number of people in it, I mean, depending on which side of the argument you fall on, it's either the ultimate deterrent or it's an abuse of human rights. I mean, if that doesn't stop you from being a gang member, nothing will.
And for some people, no. Now, the issue is there's not a lot of gang members going on over there because they've all fled and or they're already in prison. But if you're that desperate in life and you feel you're either going to die or be a gang member, you would have chosen that. And this is where they've ended up. And when he walked around earlier in the video and he kept asking people about have you been tried? Are you on trial? None of them raised their hand. Like, have you been charged with anything? Nah. So there are some questions about that.
But they get it. They know.
Well, they know why they're there. I mean, they get it.
It's like I did kill that guy with a head machete in front of the police station.
One guy they interviewed, and they asked him how many people he killed, and he was just like, he didn't care. It was 50, 60, I don't know.
That's just...
And it just was zero remorse. And he was, oddly enough, he was one of the ones that didn't have tattoos all over. So, scary. That's why nobody wants to go there. And Trump understands if this thing gets to the Supreme Court, which it will, and they rule in my favor, which I don't know, what's going to happen? They're going to self-deport because the last thing they want is that. The last thing they want is to end up there where the fear is locking up, throwing away the key, which I don't think is the right thing to do with everybody. But it's their country. They can do what they want. And I think everybody should have their day in court somewhere. But again, it's their country. They can do what they want. And we'll find out what they do with them. And I don't know what they're doing with the Trende guys. And I don't know how many of them there were. I've heard mixed things coming out of all of this stuff because, as we all know, not everything is as it seems. But are you there for a year? Then supposedly they can re-up it. So as long as we keep paying, I think we're paying $6 million for these 200 and some people. So that gets us them staying there. It's going to be interesting. No doubt about that. Coming up, wrap it up. Matt Murphy, I see him wandering around here. We'll do that straight ahead. It is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. All right, guys, let's talk about this for just a second. It's called Ruff Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega 369. It's incredible. It's amazing. Scoop it right on top of your dog's food once a day. It's got all this living stuff in it. It's the enzymes. They're incredible for your dog. And if you're like me, you love your dog. You want your dog to be healthy. You want your dog to be happy. It's a free Jumpstart trial bag of Ruff Greens right now. They're giving away to you. Take the 90-day challenge. It is awesome. You're going to see a huge difference in what goes on with your dogs. And when somebody texted earlier, they're trying to 30 days in. They're like, it's incredible. It really is incredible. Check this stuff out. Try it. 1 scoop a day. Don't change your dog's food. Over 90 days, you'll see an improvement like you cannot believe, from their energy to their coat to their skin even, and yes, their mobility. Try it now. Go to ruffgreens.com. Use my code Chad. Get a $20 Jumpstart trial bag for free. Just cover the cost of shipping. Ruffgreens.com. Use code Chad.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Wrapping it up on this fine Tuesday. Get yourself tacos. What's up, Matt? You just look exhausted, dude.
It's Taco Town!
It is taco time.
Hello.
You look like me, just like ready for... I'm done.
Do I? I always look exhausted. I always look tired when I'm not so tired. My eyeballs, they betray me.
2 days in a row, the green shirts, huh?
I like green.
I do too, but that's,
I like green.
You double it up.
This one says, I'm not yelling, I just talk like this. That's what this shirt says.
That's what my parents told me.
This is how I talk, yeah.
Yeah, that's how you talk. Fantastic.
Oh, but let's talk more about KGB's parents.
Let's do it.
Okay.
They're great people.
There's coming up next 2 months will be their 46th wedding
46th anniversary coming up. They're very excited.
Their 46th?
Yep.
Were you an accident?
Yes.
Okay.
So, a good accident, though.
I mean, I was an accident.
Well, my dad keeps making that as a joke. I'm now making it fact.
So you were a good accident.
I mean, I was an accident, so I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I wasn't supposed to.
Well, I was the third. They
accident.
thought they were good with 2, and they were like, we struck out with these 2 kids. We need a good third.
Really?
So
what are their FICO scores like?
Man,
bad.
And now,
I already know that.
Now it's just third strike and you're out for the for the folks. For the KGBs.
I mean, look who I associate myself with.
Well, that's exactly right.
You are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with.
What are we talking about on the Matt Murphy show today? Because I need some help.
What do you want to talk about?
No. I've got.
If I the little Putin call, that was good, right?
Yeah. I mean, you've got to look. If you want to stop a war, you got to talk to the guy that started it. So
yeah. So even though he was driven to the arms of this war by many other extenuating circumstances, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Okay. But just what. You did start it, so at the end of the day, you still made the move yourself.
Yeah, we've got to figure out how to stop it by talking to the guy that started it and saying, the problem is that Ukraine is talking tough on the land stuff, and I get it. I understand the frustration, but the options here are either beat them, and then you can take whatever the hell you want back or from them, or you go to the negotiation table, and they're going to want a little something.
Yeah, which is land for peace. That's okay. We get that. I looked at what they offered the other day, and I'm like, I wouldn't do that if I was Ukraine. They wanted them to denazify, demilitarize, no military.
No, you can't.
You can't, and no peacekeepers.
No, you don't.
So you want me to give up all of my stuff, and you can come back at any given time?
Nah,
you can't do that. That would be ridiculous. So you should talk about that. You probably talk a little immigration, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, sure, I could do that. How this judge very angry. This judge. It really does. I mean, I know everybody's done it, but the old Andrew Jackson, it's such a great quote. The Supreme Court has made their decision. Now let's see them enforce it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a great quote because it is emblematic of the balance of power and the nature of the balance of power. And everybody's got to have a healthy respect for the law. I don't disagree with what John Roberts said. I understand the point that he's making. Hey, we're an equal branch too.
Yeah.
And, hey, come on, man. You don't go. But Trump has no interest in trying to impeach these folks.
No,
he'll beat them in appellate court.
That's it. But the whole thing is you say that stuff, it gets the base excited. The fact is your goal is to get this thing to the highest court as fast as possible.
That's right.
Right. And you get him, these guys really bad. He always knew he was never. He would be more surprised if aliens walked out. I mean, than him winning that thing in actual court.
Have we read the 80,000 JFK pages yet?
No, we have not. No. I'm on page 1.
Are they out? Is it out?
I have no idea.
Who did it?
No.
KGB do it?
No, he did not.
Did you do it?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, that's 2 down.
No.
Millions
Ken
to go.
also didn't do it.
Ken Weaver.
Ken wouldn't hurt a fly.
Dan is a little suspicious.
Ken Weaver wouldn't hurt a fly?
I will defend Ken in court if I have to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that fly sucking on his cold beer?
Absolutely.
Ken would hurt a fly then.
He would. He would hurt that
drink
fly.
beer.
He doesn't drink beer. I only drink hard stuff.
I don't believe him. I think Ken's lying.
I am.
Yeah. Coming up, this man, Matt Murphy, you can call in and decide what he wants to do on the show.
Call me,
today.
I'll yell at you.
Yeah,
I'll tell you to go home and beat your kids.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me an article that says, Matt Murphy says to go home and beat your kids.